Hello and a very warm welcome to another edition of Talking Germany, the show where we do just that. And my guest today is a man who is often seen as the greatest mountaineer of all time. He made the first solo ascent of Mount Everest without supplementary oxygen. He was also the first climber to conquer all 14 8,000ers, that is, all of the towering Himalayan peaks that are over 8,000 metres high. And here he is, that man in person, Reinhold Messner.
Hello.
A very warm welcome to Talking Germany. Thank you for coming today. Now, Reinhold Messner has not only been described as perhaps the best mountaineer of all time, but also the world's most flamboyant mountaineer. Reinhold Messner, welcome once again. Now, everybody knows who you are, that you are an outstanding mountaineer. But not everybody, certainly outside Germany and countries around Germany, knows where you come from. It's a very special part of the world, and I'd like to begin with you telling me precisely where you come from.
I'm coming from the Dolomites. The Dolomites are, for me, the most beautiful mountains of the world. And I was born there, and I had the opportunity as a small boy to climb these smaller rocks on the base of the big walls of the Dolomites. Also for the fact that there was no other possibility for us to play, to enjoy ourselves. No soccer place, no swimming pool. So we went to climb, and I did my first 9,000 feet peak when I was 5 years old.
This legendary climb with your father when you were 5 years old,
right,
yeah? We're going to talk about that climb. We're going to talk about your father. We're going to talk about mountaineering in general. You're talking very enthusiastically about the South Tyrol region, about the Dolomites where you come from. I read somewhere that you actually, as a young man, found it quite claustrophobic and you really wanted to get away. Is that what your mountaineering career was all about?
I remember very well that I was living in this small valley, very small valley, narrow valley. Yeah. And I was looking the clouds coming on one side of the upper part of the valley and disappearing on the other side a few minutes later. And I was always asking myself from where these clouds are coming. Because for me, the whole cosmos was this valley and nothing more. And standing on the mountains above this valley, I could see the world is bigger, but there was always a horizon somewhere which closed the curve to the world behind. And I'm still on my legs, on my way to see what is behind.
Reinhold Messner, I have the feeling that people can't... your achievements in the mountains are very clear, but I don't think people can really understand who you are as a person and as a mountaineer without understanding that you are an alpinist. Explain what that means.
I am both. I'm a mountaineer, but I'm also a mountain man because I'm living in the mountains. I'm farming in the mountains. And I was brought up in the mountains. I'm not a city man going to the mountains like most of the alpinists. You know that mountaineering was born in Britain in reality 200 years ago in the cities. Yeah. In the big cities, the people, especially from the industries, they had the feeling they need something else than only this machinery and this numbers and this scientific work. Mm-hmm. So they became climbers in the Alps and later on in the Himalayas. I am coming out of the mountains and I'm living in the mountains also on vertical walls. And the most important thing I have to survive in the mountains is the instinct. It's not knowledge, it's not technical knowledge, it's not ability or a better heart or better lungs. It's an instinct which gives me the possibility, at least up to now, to survive.
Well, let's be very clear about what that means. That means that you went out into the mountains basically with just a rucksack on your back.
Right.
That's how you went up Everest.
I was the first one who invented a new style on the 8,000 meter peaks. Otherwise, I would not either have been able to finance, to organize an expedition. Mm-hmm. On the beginning, I was a member of an expedition. I was invited. Later on, I studied a system which was the same system like Wimper climbed Matterhorn in 1856. We go with a rucksack, we acclimatize on the base camp, And we go up without camps, without fixed ropes, without oxygen bottles,
and
without
there's something almost fanatical about this, because I read that you actually taught yourself how to survive without food, for example.
In the Alps, I was able to climb for 2-3 days without food. And
2 or 3 days without food?
I was very lucky I had this training, because otherwise on Nanga Parbat I would have no chance to survive. Because we were forced for days, on the end for 5 days in my case, to live without any food. There was not food. And more difficult was the fact that we had to live for days without water. This was very dangerous. And part of the fact that my brother became high altitude sick was the fact that we had no water, and we were not able to make water out of snow because we had no cooker.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned your brother there. Yeah.
Yes, my brother died on Nanga Parbat on 70 on an expedition where we succeeded in climbing the highest wall of the world. A wall, it means quite a vertical wall, with 4,500 meters of difference between the base camp and the summit. And since reaching the summit, both without a rope, we had nothing in reality. We started in a different group. He started after me. I did not know that he's following me. We met a little bit below the summit. We went together to the summit. He had his breakdown afterwards, and we were forced to go down on the other side of the mountain.
People should see the movie. People should read your book about these events. It's a very controversial series of events. There have even been court cases around this. You have lost a lot of friends in the mountains. You have known a lot of people through the years who have died in the mountains. The death of your brother must have been the deepest, the most profound wound for you.
Yes, it was a wound, and this was also a key moment of my life. Before Nanga Parbat, both of us, we went to climb, having a feeling that we would not die. We knew that some people are dying in the mountains, but never ever somebody died together with us.
You thought you were,
our friends?
You thought you were immortal?
Yes, a little bit, like typical German young Siegfried. You heard about Siegfried, this German hero who is not dying because he's invulnerable. And we had this feeling. Some of our friends, they died in the mountains, falling in a snowstorm, but not together with us, in another moment where we were not together. And after this tragedy on Nanga Parbat, I understood that death is coming in seconds on the mountains. And if you are doing one mistake, maybe in the first mistake, you lose your life. And I had the problem afterwards that my parents and my brothers, they all tried to keep me out of mountaineering afterwards. And I was thinking that maybe it's better I go back to...
Were they angry with you?
No, they were not angry.
They were not angry?
No. But it was difficult for them to understand what happened.
Your father was angry? Sure.
My father was angry. He was pushing that my brother would go with this expedition, and I tried to give him a chance on this expedition, because on the first moment only I was invited, not my brother. And he said, your brother has the same ability. Try to give him also a chance, because he's also dreaming about these biggest mountains of the world. My mother was exactly the opposite. She said, I would like that nobody of you are going to this dangerous mountain. Afterwards, I stayed in the clinic, and afterwards I went back as a teacher in the school, and I went back to university. But after a while I understood I cannot change this wound and this tragedy staying at home, forgetting about my enthusiasm about mountaineering. Mountaineering was my life, was my dream. And so I decided afterwards to become a professional mountaineer. And to do it with more investment of time, of money, of energy, like before.
But listen, some people would say you're just absolutely crazy. You didn't just go back to become a very conscientious and careful mountaineer. You walked across Greenland with another one of your brothers. Did you not fear that history would repeat itself?
It was not so easy for me, but then when I decided to cross Greenland the long way from south to north, 2,200 kilometers, I spoke with my brother and he said, this is my dream. And he's a very good skier. He's a marathon runner. He's a doctor. And I was beginning to be 50, so I said, the best partner would be a doctor. Before, I had a perfect partner from Germany, Arvid Fuchs, who was a navigator. He knew exactly to do what I could not do, to navigate. And from Arvid Fuchs, I learned to navigate. So on Greenland, I did not need anymore a navigator. I needed a doctor. And since my brother is a doctor and said I would like to go, we decided on the end to do it together, and we had a perfect time together. But a risk was always there to lose a second brother, because there is a risk in crossing Greenland. We went later on to the North Pole expedition, and we failed there in a terrible ice pressure-rich system. We went also to the pole a little bit later on, but anyway, we had a dramatic moment on the pole, and he really fell in the water. Yeah. And it's very strange that he remembers, like me, in this critical situation, he in the water, I was not able to get him out. I yelled to him, Günther, and not Hubert. He's Hubert. Because probably in this tragical moment, in this difficult moment, I had again the feeling that the responsibility and the fact that maybe something is happening bad now is giving me again the remembering of the Nanga Parbat tragedy.
Okay. If you want to know more about what happened on Nanga Parbat, tune in to DWTV on the 22nd of June. Then we'll be showing the first episode of a two-part documentary called Death on Nanga Parbat, the Messner Tragedy. The second part of that broadcast will be on the 29th of June, by the way, and you can get the times from the Deutsche Welle website. Reinhold, I know it's a favourite theory of yours that one learns more from failure than one learns from success. Explain that theory in a short version.
Sorry.
No problem.
I learned, especially in mountaineering, that doing mistakes, failing, I learn more than if I succeed. If I succeed, afterwards I have the feeling everything went well, everything was perfect. Maybe the success has more fathers. Also the partners, they were very important to give me this success. If I fail, I know exactly why. And I can learn about it. I can correct the failures, I can correct the mistakes, and I can try again. I didn't become a strong mountaineer, climber or adventurer for the fact that I would be more intelligent or having better lungs or better heart than others. No, I'm a totally normal person. But more often than all the others, when I was on my knees, when I was broken down, when I failed, I went up again and I tried again. Only for the Makalu, the fifth highest mountain of the world, I tried 4 times. 3 times I failed, but the 4 times I reached the summit. So my success is following the fact that I tried, I learned, I failed. And since I was able to do these low-budget expeditions, I could not only do more expeditions than others, I could also go absolute to the limit. Because if I failed, not so much money was on the table. Yeah. So trying to go on the limit, on my limit, doing it often, I got all these experiences to do these crazy things like Everest without oxygen, Everest alone, crossing Antarctica on the beginning of this new period. Now, many people are crossing Antarctica, but we didn't have a logistic then when we did it.
I know that Reinhold Messner is not a member of ATTAC. I don't know where his sympathies quite lie. I'd like to know about your emotional approach to this kind of situation, what we're talking about here, the financial crisis. When you were a younger man, perhaps even now, you were somebody who was known to have a bit of a temper, to be an angry man who would shake his fist a wheel at, you're smiling, yeah? How angry do you get about the lack of transparency in the global markets? How angry do you get about the lack of sustainability? How angry do you get about the greed?
Now, I get angry especially for the fact that generally, all of us, in the last decade, we spent more than what we had. And this is one of the problems. The second problem is that the financial world was apart from reality. it was not anymore real what they did in the banks. There was not some values, and the money on this value was in the play. No, they used air. They sold air.
A bubble.
A bubble.
Bubble.
Yeah, it became a bubble.
Yeah.
And we will learn in the next decades to reduce our wishes. Otherwise, we will disappear from this world, very simply.
That's strong stuff. Well, you've got a lot of friends in the financial world. You're a well-known person. I know you hobnob with a lot of these people. Do you talk to people about this learning process? You do courses with managers. Are they learners? Are they learners?
I am doing lectures in front of managers. This is right, and I can tell them only my experiences from the expeditions and from the wilderness. I learn from the nature. Yeah. My ruler is nature. In my heart, I am an anarchist. I accept the rules the politicians are making, but only with my intelligence, with my head.
That's interesting. You were a politician. You were a Green politician for a couple of years in the European Parliament.
Years.
I found a quote from you. You said, "Politics and climbing are exact opposites."
Right.
What's all that about?
If I go up on Nanga Parbat, nobody can tell me to go left or right with a rucksack, without a rucksack. I am a free man, putting every second my own rules, if we are more people in a democratic way, in my case. And there is no rule, there's only the nature. I have to know that there is a danger of avalanche. I have to know high altitude is dangerous because there is a lack of oxygen. But the politicians are making the rules for others. I am not accepting any ruler above me, and I don't like to have anybody below me to giving my rules.
But when you're up there on the stage with these managers giving these lectures to the managers, they're down below. They're listening.
No, they are not. They are on the same level.
Okay, they're on the well. Good. Okay, they're on the same level. Are they listening to what you have to say about finite resources and sustainability and nature?
I think they are listening. I don't know if they are forgetting it an hour later or a lifetime later.
They think it's very comfortable to have you, the mountaineer, with them here, telling them some stories.
This is an excuse to say we have somebody who is bringing ideas in from a totally different world. I get many invitations all over the world to do this kind of lecture sometimes. Yeah. And afterwards, somebody maybe is really understanding what I'm saying, and maybe many are forgetting it in the next.
Let's have a look at some footage that we have of you. Somebody else you've been talking to here in Germany recently, the German national soccer team. What's happening there, Reinhold?
I was in Eppern in South Tyrol because they did training there, and I was invited. I met them, young people, creative people, and had a good feeling. We had a small chat, and I told them that the motivation for these football games, there are 6 weeks or something like that, they have to build up now.
I said earlier they have a mountain to climb. They really do, don't they?
Winning the soccer football world championship is much harder than scaling Everest, the highest mountain of the world.
That's a quote. That's a quote.
It's easy to climb Everest today, or quite easy if you see what they have to do. They need creativity, they need power, they need also energy for all this time, and especially they need the will to play. Okay,
we finished the show with a quick quiz. We're going to have to be very quick, we're running out of time, yeah? Who are more ambitious, senior business executives or top mountaineers?
Top mountaineers.
Danger or safety?
I am for safety.
What do you prefer, going up or coming down?
I prefer to come down.
Thank you. I think that's all we've got time for with Reinhold. Unfortunately, he's been a fascinating, a wee little bit of a controversial guest. He's the unique Reinhold Messner. If you've enjoyed his company as much as I have, then do come back next week. Tschüss.